Hello guys, welcome to the video about structuring our response for speaking number 5. Let's discuss how we should structure our response. So, of course, since it's a dialogue, we are going to take notes just like we did with speaking number 3 and with our dialogues in the listening section. We're going to have 2 columns and we're going to have a zigzag. We're going to have a column named man and a column named woman, and then we're going to write what every person said on a zigzag according to who said what, right? So we're going to write everything in a different column. So we're already familiar with this way of taking notes, so we're going to do it like that. So divide your paper on 2 columns, man and woman, and write what the man said in the man's column, what the woman said in the woman's column, and do a zigzag, so it's easier for you to know who said what and when. So if you do the notes like that, it becomes super easy for you to read it while you're speaking. So you just need to make your notes better during those 20 seconds while you're preparing your response. So you're going to look at all those phrases, going to perhaps write down some additional words which are going to make it easier for you to read. And also during the 20 seconds, of course, you need to think about your opinion. So you remember that in this task, they're asking you about your opinion. So you need to come up with one. Alright, so this is a question. I remind you that it always asks you to state your opinion, but let's have a look at this question. So the question has 2 parts: summarize the ways and then state your opinion and explain why you prefer that opinion. So we have 2 goals: summarize the ways, state and explain your opinion. So since we have these 2 goals, you have a flexibility here to decide what time you devote to goal number 1 and what time you devote to goal number 2. So for example, you took a lot of notes and you have so much material from the listening passage that you can speak about it for pretty much a minute, okay? In this case, you're devoting maybe 90% of your speaking to summarizing the ways, and then 10% of your speaking to your opinion. It's okay if your opinion is super short. For example, they talked about different ways to memorize vocabulary, and your favorite was the way number 2. So you devote much of your time to talking about the ways that they discuss. So you're devoting 90% of your response to summarizing, and then you devote the last 10% to your opinion. Let's say that you already said everything about what they talked about the ways, and now you're saying, as for me, my favorite is the way number 2 because this is how I usually do. Okay? That's it. You can just spend 1 sentence describing your opinion and explaining why. You noticed probably that in what I said, the explanation was super short. The explanation was basically just because I use it a lot, okay? But that's an explanation. You already did what you were required to do. So they asked you to give your opinion and explain why you have this opinion. You did all of that. So you're fine. You can get the maximum score. If, on the other hand, you have a different situation, let's say that you had some troubles taking notes, you took most of it, but you don't think that it's enough material for the entire minute, it's totally fine, because you can devote maybe 30% of your response to summarizing the ways, maybe 50%, maybe 40%, and then the rest, even if it's majority of your time, you can devote to your opinion. Of course, you can talk about your opinion forever, right? You can just explain why you think so, when was the last time you did it, something like that, because your explanation can be pretty big. So here you have the flexibility. If you want to spend most of your time summarizing the ways, it's fine. You can spend as much time as you want, and then you can just devote a little bit of time, maybe just 1 sentence, to your opinion and the explanation. If you want to do the opposite, if you want to spend a little bit of time to summarizing and then the rest for your opinion, you have the freedom to do so. It's okay. So here you're flexible, you have the freedom to choose what proportion is for the summarizing and which proportion is for your opinion, okay? Now let's talk about the cliches. Of course, we should learn the cliches, right? For the speaking number 5, we also have the cliches. So when we start talking about the students and what they discussed, we say, 2 students discuss the problem of. This is our very first sentence of our speech. 2 students discuss the problem of blah, blah, blah. We name the problem. Then we do the same as we did in speaking number 3. We say the man says, the woman answers, and blah, 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 blah. We say everything that they said. Now, after we did the summarizing, after we said everything from the listening, it's time for us to move to the your opinion part. So we say, as for me, I would do, as for me, I would choose, blah, 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 because, blah, 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 blah. It can be as little as just one sentence, or it can be more if you want to do so. It's fine if it's just one sentence, it's fine if it's just 5 seconds of your speech, it's okay. If you want to do more, it's fine if it's 15 seconds, 30 seconds, it's all good. All right? Just make sure that you spend enough time talking about the listening passage, because if you miss out a lot of important information, it's bad for your score. But if you discussed all the key points, all the, for example, 3 ways, you named all of them, you're fine, you did a good job. You can already move to your opinion. So these are the cliches for your speaking number 5 task. And also, let's not forget about the reported speech problem, about our grammar tip. We already talked about it when we discussed the speaking number 3. If we have a dialect, we might have the reported speech problem if we say what each person said in the past simple tense. To avoid this problem, we need to always tell what each person said in the present tense. We need to say the man says instead of the man said. If we say the man says, then we don't have to do any of the adjustments of the verbs. We just need to use them the same way they were used in the listening passage. We just repeat it the way it was. We just read it easily from our notes. We don't have to think of any verb tense adjustments. All right, so don't forget about the reported speech problem. Always say the man says. And of course, do not forget that the man and the woman are he and she. So we need to not forget about the S. Sometimes people forget about the S in the end of the verbs. It's present simple, so we need to say says, thinks, suggests, believes, disagrees, agrees, offers, etc. It is he and she, that's why we need to use S at the end of the verbs. Also, of course, do not forget that we have a very specific man and a very specific woman. Those people were 2 people who were talking, so do not forget about the article the man, the woman. So this is how you structure your response. Do not forget to use the cliches, memorize them, learn them by heart. Do not forget to take a lot of notes, and of course, do not forget to say your opinion. And in the next video, we're going to review a sample task and then see a sample response. Thanks for watching.